Win your week. That's always the premise of Sunday afternoon show. So this week, we are going to help you win your week. We're going to do it live so that you can ask all your questions, and you're here with Mattrix and Malley. Mate, I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely vibing on my Sunday afternoon over here in Australia. How are you, mate?
Good, just using that to wash down all the brick dust and all the other bits and pieces, all the asbestos floating around you in there.
Yeah, I do love a bit of asbestos. No, there's renos happening at our place. You are moving from your house, so it's all happening over here. But look, we're here to talk some fantasy basketball, and I've got a little promotion for everyone today, mate.
Go for it. Tell me what you got.
Well, we do our Patreon articles every week. We have all these WhatsApp channels where you have access to everybody who does the podcast, and you can ask us questions. We can help you with your trades. We can do NBA Supercoach trades as well as all your fantasy. Just mention if it's points league or 9-category league. But basically, we're going to do this whole week where all the articles are free. So all you have to do is join our free Patreon just below. So just sign up, get it for free, and get all the articles for nothing.
Yeah, some good stuff over there. I went to find my last article to check how it was going, and I had to scroll down about 15 times. So I see we're busy over there, which is good. Plenty of good gear over there.
Yeah, no, there's a bit going on. So it's just free for everybody this week. Just to try to give it a bit of a boost. We've been 7 weeks into the season. We're helping everybody out. We just want you to see the value in it. So I think it's less than $10 a month to join our league. So that's just honestly, just a couple cups of coffee, or maybe 1.5 if you like almond milk. But mate,
like you're lactose intolerant or some business.
How you going in all your leagues this week?
Yeah, actually not too bad. Yeah, after my first week where I lost 5 out of 5, and I was feeling pretty grim. I bounced back, and I'm doing pretty well at the moment. It's just funny seeing I play in one league against a fella who I play in another league, and he's killing it in one and stinking in one, and I'm the other way around. So when he hits a trade up, I'm like, man, which one of the leagues is he actually trying to trade in? I'm loving this. Should I drop Derek Queen question? I've been staring at that for a while. I'm having a bit of a silent contemplation. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, there's some good questions here. So let's jump into them, because that's actually the point of this show. We're still going to do our normal, go through the categories and help you win your week. And that might answer your questions along the way. But yeah, John Final straight up is asking, should I drop Derek Queen? And honestly, from what I've seen, he hasn't been fantastic. Yves Messi has been the guy. If you follow us on socials, at SE_Mattrix or the Ball Logic pod on Instagram and Twitter, we've been putting out, to sort of ads, Yves Messi. His minutes have gone up in his last 3 games. It's kind of resulted to better basketball for the Pelicans, which is kind of making me think that genuinely Derek Queen is getting close to a drop. While he's starting, I'm going to be holding, but it's not helping me win any categories. So if I needed to drop him to try and win a week, this last, I suppose, game of the week, I would.
Yeah, I've actually really liked what he's been able to do. He's one of those guys that where if he's not getting shots or the shots aren't going in, he's still getting the rebounds. He's still getting plenty of assists. They obviously... You're right. They put Ease back in today, and they nearly toppled Golden State. That was a Golden State without Curry, and a Golden State where they couldn't hit a single 3. I'm in the same position as you. I think I'd hold him. The minute he drops back to the bench, I'd cut him. But while he's starting, they're obviously still trying to make it work and see what they've got there. If you're looking for a sign on when to drop Queen, I'd make it the game that he goes back to the bench. But while they're still starting him, they obviously want him in there, and he does enough across the board that, yeah, as I said, when the shots aren't going in, he's still pulling other things. Not much a defensive guy, statistics-wise. He's also obviously an absolutely trash defensive guy IRL. I'm still having flashbacks. It wasn't even my experience. I'm still having flashbacks to when he had to step out of the way of Jokic. He's not there for D.
Yeah, and I found myself in a similar situation last week where I genuinely think Metas Bazelis is a hold at the moment. Again, starting, just gone through a little bit of a slump, but I needed to win my week and I needed to add some categories that he wasn't going to provide in the last day of the week. So I dropped him. Everybody, scrambled over him in waivers. I think some people were spending like 30% of their waiver wire cash to get him or their FAB to get him. And look, yeah, if anybody asked me, it would have been yes. Look, Mattis Bazelis is a hold, but I had to drop him. And that's how I feel about Derek Queen at the moment. If I had to drop him, I wouldn't be too stressed.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to consider too, not that they're going to fight for position, but, a lot of what he's doing is getting those awesome assists. He's averaging, 5, 6 assists, besides today where he stunk it up. But they've got Poole coming back probably tomorrow. That looks like he's going to be, if he's not back tomorrow, he's going to be back next week. They're still without DeJounte Murray. I know he's still a month or so off, but yeah, all these things are going to eat into him. And today was another game without they were without what's his name? Oh man, I'm having a blank. Yeah, they've Murphy. They were without Murphy today, and even with three of the main guys in their starting unit out, he still couldn't really do very much. So yeah, hold for now, but hover the finger over the drop button.
Mate, look, I did put ask you questions before win your week, which is our normal category. So let's answer these questions as we go along. Selma and Yube 662 is asking, he's got LaMelo Ball. What would you do if you had LaMelo Ball? Because I've got him in a league. You're in it if you'd like to trade for him. But what would you do if you had LaMelo Ball at the moment, mate?
I think what you'd be able to get back for him wouldn't be worth a trade. I think even at the moment where he's pretty flat, he's still getting assists. And because of the rarity of assists at the moment, he's someone that you want to keep. The other guards that are around him too are getting good trot and they're all healthy. It only takes one of those guys to go out. Colin Sexton go down. The second coming of your mate. What's his name? I'm having a shocker with names today. It's going to be an awful show. But no, I would definitely hold him. And even if you wanted to sell him now, it's just not the right time. I think you're just going to have to play the long game. Wait for him to have one of his explosive games where he puts up 30. He hits every shot from the line. He gets 8 assists. And then it's probably the time to move on from him. I just don't think now's the time. And we're still early on in the season. We're not at that point in the season where you've got to make these harsh calls. So I'd be a pretty firm hold on him for now. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm sort of in this situation where I do have him. And yes, he is 100% a hold. He's definitely, LaMelo Ball's never going to be a drop unless he's out for the season. But I'm okay with dangling him out, seeing if somebody will overpay or pay close to value because they want him so bad. You just have a look at jersey sales, everything like that. Kind of like Ja Morant. He's one of those guys that people want. And I was kind of in a similar situation in trades with you the other day, which I found really interesting, where I'm high on Evan Mobley, despite the fact that he's struggling. You were, getting up to paying, I suppose, value for Evan Mobley, despite the fact that he's struggling, just because you want him and you know that. Well, we both agree that we think that he's going to bounce back. He's been in some heavy minutes restrictions at the moment. So you might be getting close to value if your team's struggling and say you're 1-4 or 2-3 because that person believes that LaMelo Ball is going to come back to where he is going to be. So they believe that they're getting a buy low and they might just be getting a little bit of a buy low on you, but you might be okay to be like, hey, I'm not in a position to let him play 20 minutes per night for the next 2 weeks and maybe rest on back-to-backs. I need to trade him. I still think there's a market where you can sell him, but you just have to be selective. You don't say, hey, LaMelo Ball is going to be traded by the end of the night. Just listen to some conversations and maybe you can get, a top 50 player back for him. And LaMelo Ball might just be the 56th player at the end of the year and you just got value for him.
Yeah, I think too, it's probably going to be difficult to do a one-for-one trade where you're going to actually be able to win out at all. So I'd probably be looking to package him up with someone who's hot, who isn't going to
Norman
hold
Powell.
their value. Norman Powell, yeah, someone like that, someone that you feel like is probably working beyond the realities of their statistical profile. I'd probably try and put two guys together. Obviously, because ball's flat, you could get someone who's hot. Then you're putting someone who's hot that is going to drop off with ball, who's a known name and has the excitement around him a little bit, and maybe you might be able to pull something a little bit better then. Really depends on who else you got in your team.
Mate, I've got one for you as well, from Big Black Chicken in the chat. Great name, for the record. Denny Avdia for Derek White. I know that you've been one selling Derek White, not because we've been unhappy with what Derek White's come back. He's come back with a bit of a vengeance, and he's been good despite shooting, 36% from the field. Is Denny Avdia somebody that you'd be happy to give up for Derek White if he does the things that you want, or is that sort of a nice one-for-one trade, do you think?
Well, you're definitely seeing the best of Denny at the moment because he's playing the pseudo point guard, because they have no Scoot and they have no Drew. So I think at least on the steals front and maybe even a touch in the scoring, you're getting as much as you're going to get from him. Two very different plays because Denny doesn't really get defensive stats at all. And basically that's the one thing that's kept Derek White afloat, even though the shooting's been off. He's still a guy who'll get you 2 steals and a block or 2 blocks and a steal every game. Even today, where he didn't play particularly well, he was still able to get 2 blocks. That's the reason why I picked him up on my team. I wanted a guy because my team, as you know, in the league that I was trying to dangle him in front of you, I'm basically punt little guy statistics, but I unfortunately still need a point guard. I can't make a team of 7 centers, which I'd like to do. Everything else is great, but because I have a team full of the Maesh Caters and who else have I got? Like some big bodies who shoot 4 or 5 times a game. As soon as Derek White has a bad game, if he shoots 5 from 17, that really rips my team. Even if the rest of my team went 4 from 6, it just pulls me to pieces. So again, some context around that would probably help, but I would pick up Denny. I think, again, high watermark and Derek isn't really in the right place. But the other reason is I know that Denny's going to see the season through. Do you think Derek White will? I mean, they've been playing amazingly, the Celtics. Do you think that he'll just play the season out?
Yeah, there's no risk for shutdown for me with what Boston have done. I think that they're just going to, scrape through, do some play-ins, still get a bit of a better pick, unless like a Jaylen Brown or a Derek White does get injured, and then then it's shutdown season. So, but I'm not worried about shutdown when it comes to Derek White at the moment. You know what? You could say the same for Denny Avdia. Portland have been kind of playing well to start the year. They're on a little bit of a slide. They're getting Damian Lillard back next year. Honestly, in a trade like this, they both could be shut down.
Yeah, true. Okay, so wipe that from the risk factors.
And your thoughts on Kristaps? I'm sort of sitting with Kristaps. Like the last little bit has been illness related, so I don't take that into account when it comes to, like, obviously you've got to take things into account when it's like Joel Embiid if you're looking at injury risk and everything like that. But when it comes to Kristaps, they said it's an illness. I'm not worried about him being out for long periods of time. He's been all right when he's played, shooting it at a high clip. He's only played the 12 games per year and, 19, 6 and 3 with 1.5 blocks. Honestly, I have no issue with holding or trading for Kristaps. You just know that he might not be. I don't think he's as good as Onyeka Okongwu at the moment, but I don't think there's any coach in the NBA that would play Okongwu over a healthy Kristaps.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? You're not going to drop Kristaps. You're not going to be able to trade him. So you hope that you have an IR in your competition and you sit him in there. He's a permanent beast. He's been absolutely amazing when he's been able to be out there. That minutes limit of whatever he's been on, 20, 26 minutes has probably affected him a little bit much. The other thing is we haven't really seen him be able to play with Trey very much. So I'd like to see him play some games with Trey and see if that helps him even more. But yeah, a sickness. Ironically, it's probably keeping him from getting properly injured. So having these rests and having the sicknesses and being able to come back and play has probably been pretty good for him.
We've got Admiral Nita that's asking whether Mark Williams and Paul George is worth trading for Zach LaVine. It's a 10-team head-to-head, normal 9-cat league with IR. I actually kind of like this.
Yeah, obviously you're getting Zach LaVine at absolute bottom dollar at the moment. I think once Sacramento have a wholesale sale and get rid of everybody, it's going to leave Zach LaVine left, and he's the only shooter on that team. Who knows who comes back when Sacramento do their musical chair shuffle? Mark Williams has been great, and he's been getting better each and every game. The downside with him is not playing back-to-backs, but Suns have actually got through quite a chunk of their back-to-backs now, which makes me feel a little bit better that there'll be some smoother sailing ahead. Paul George has been all right, but he's just old. So you're taking a very solid guy in Zach LaVine, whose percentages from the field, the three, and the free throw line are amazing. And who's just obviously fed up with the way that things are going in Sacramento and not taking shots, which is where all his value comes from. For two guys who are potential injury risks, if Paul George goes, we know he goes for a long time. Mark Williams has been good, and having them sit on the back-to-backs has probably helped him a lot. I think that I would probably pick, if I chose one or the other side, I would go LaVine, because I think that he can be a top 50 guy, and I don't think Mark Williams or Paul George are going to be.
I agree with it, but it's for a different reason than you. And it's because it's a 10-team league. I think that there's going to be plenty going on the waiver wire. And I think getting a 2-for-1 where Zach LaVine is the best player in the trade is often worth doing in those leagues. As long as, again, listen to the shows, as long as you really play the waiver wire really well and you can get the best out of that last spot. I think Zach LaVine will finish the year, as you said, better than Paul George and Mark Williams, making this as good of a trade, as long as you are the type of player that doesn't just set your lineup at the start of the week and then come back next week and see what's going on, which you're probably not if you're watching a fantasy basketball podcast on a Sunday. But like genuinely, I think just getting Zach LaVine and opening up that extra streamer spot could be invaluable.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I didn't really consider the 10-team aspect of it, but yeah.
Again, looking to trade Jalen Johnson for some depths in his team. He got an offer for Lauri Markkanen and Mikal Bridges. You answer this while I get another beer.
Well, I guess, again, it comes down to highs and lows. Jalen Johnson is at the highest of the highs. He's playing amazingly. He's basically triple-doubling every game on 50% shooting. The shots from the line are a bit trash, but he's getting a couple of defensive stats there, probably down a bit from last year. Lowry's been playing amazingly, but we've seen the pattern there that once it gets into fantasy finals, he's not there, which is always scary. Mikal Bridges has been great this year. I'm actually trying to trade for him in the league at the moment. Just the defensive stats, the percentages. He scores a little bit. He's getting some rebounds and assists. He seems like he's maybe like a mashup of the Mikal Bridges that we've seen for the last few years in New York, and kind of mushed together with the Mikal Bridges from Phoenix. So again, if your aim is to get depth, I think that you're probably doing pretty well. Always be wary of Lowry. They're kind of in the same position, realistically, Utah, than they were last year. And we saw how that ended. So I don't know. I personally would hold Jalen Johnson, but the question you're asking is that going to improve your depth? Well, it is, and I think it's a fair trade.
Yeah, I think it's a fair trade, and you definitely wouldn't pop in and veto it. I would just enjoy the journey that is Jalen Johnson, because it probably is going to end when Trae Young comes back, but you're still going to get something decent going on. I do think that there's an expiry date on Lauri Markkanen this year, which is why the other player is trying to trade him. So yeah, I'd be more wary of an expiry date on Lauri Markkanen than I am of Jalen Johnson's stats dropping. They will drop, but yeah, not to the point where Lauri Markkanen could get shut down, or could get traded to an 8th placed Golden State Warriors, where his role changes drastically.
Yep.
We'll answer these couple more, and then we'll get into our categories. Do we think Jordan Poole will return to some fantasy form under the new coach? Hold or try and trade him away? Sitting in his IR. Yeah. What do you think of Jordan Poole? I think you've got him in some leagues, mate.
No, I actually got rid of him earlier on. I traded him. Can't even remember what the trade was for now, but this is while he was still playing before his injury. I don't think we're going to see anything much out of Poole, even if they return him to the starting lineup. This is the time that we were supposed to see. These were the glory days. These were supposed to be the strong times of Jordan Poole. I know that he's had injury, which is something that's kind of unforeseen. But, the specter of DeJounte Murray is closing in on him. And I think you might get a good month or two. And by good, I mean average, but at least as good as you're going to get from Poole before the cage really comes crashing down. Yeah, I mean, you've held him for this long and he's coming back tomorrow. So you're obviously not going to drop him. But if you were holding him with the idea of being able to trade him when he came back and actually started to play some games, obviously, as I said, you've held this long. But yeah, it kind of feels like the team's moved on a little bit without him. And Fears has been playing not too bad for a rookie. And obviously Queen's had his ups and downs. We've already talked about him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Poole. Not on this team.
If he comes back and drops 25 in the first game, I would be trying to trade him. Let's just leave it there. I think they've moved on, and Fears will be the new guy that they're relying on. We've answered a few questions about LaMelo, but in a category league, I definitely think he's worth holding. They're pretty open, which doesn't seem to be that, I suppose, well publicized. I read it in the Charlotte Observer that LaMelo was on some strict minutes restrictions coming back. So, that's where the 21 minutes is sitting there. So, look, I do think that maybe you have to hold him. I do think there is a world where, if you're getting a top 50 guy, and I know I'm saying it again for those that'll listen to the podcast, but we're answering people's questions. I do think that if you are there and you can get a top 50 guy back for LaMelo, maybe I do take it. But look, right now, he's a hold. And I would trade Jalen Johnson for Randall and Mikal, I think. Randall's been unreal this year, John Final, to answer your last question. So yeah, look, I would trade it for Randall and Mikal, definitely over Laurie and Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, that changes my mind too. If it's Randall and Mikal, then yeah, I'd pull that trigger.
Mate, look, I've been pretty active, I suppose, on socials about some different players that could help you win your week. I know I was talking about Yves Messi when it come to the blocks. I was adding Paul Reed today, who got a double-double with Jalen Duren out. But there are some games on tomorrow as well that is probably your last chance to win. If you need points tomorrow, is there anyone in particular that you are looking at streaming in?
Yeah, actually, before we start talking about the points, you talked about a few names that you were very happy to pick up today. I was stoked with my J Huff experience. I know he did all his offensive damage in the first quarter, and then he did all his defensive damage in the final quarter, and it was a superb game. He brought a smile to my face as I watched him today. Points, always difficult to get off the wire. The guys that you're going to get for points off the wire do absolutely nothing else. nice segue from Jordan Poole. Yeah, who's actually playing tomorrow? Let me have a little look. Maybe Jalen Tyson's actually not too bad, and he's still being able to hold some value, even though they're getting close to being back to full strength again. Jordan Clarkson's a roll of the die. He had his heyday, and I think they've come back to a strong enough point that they're not really playing him. Its points are going to be difficult, man. Maybe Bryce Sensabaugh can score, but they're really just not giving him a lot of opportunities. Anyone that you can think of? Maybe a sneaky, cheeky one is Aaron Holiday. He's actually scoring really well, and the window for him is open at the moment. I'm assuming, is Kevin Durant back from his personal stuff tomorrow, or has he got one more game?
Hold on, give me a sec. Kevin Durant is expected to be back tomorrow, so yeah, he will.
Okay, all right.
He'll be playing. Steven Adams is questionable, so there might be somebody that you can stream in there. But really, the way that they play, they're probably just, if Steven Adams is out, they probably just play Reed Shepherd, and everybody just slides down a position.
And what is it, a 6-game slate tomorrow? 6 or 7? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games tomorrow. That's not too bad. It's better than what I thought.
There's always been a lot of opportunity in Memphis at the moment. Like, in deeper leagues, you can go all the way down to like Conchars and stuff like that. But Vince Williams is somebody, which of course we'll mention when it comes to assists, but he can score. Jalen Wells, he scored a couple of 20-point games in a row, his last couple. So he's one that you can get. And while everybody's out in San Antonio, I don't mind Julian Champagny. I've absolutely butchered that, but he is just a guy that you can add, and he does often provide.
Sam Hauser got a crack at it today, played 30 minutes, and he scored, which probably means that he's not going to even get the chop tomorrow, because I'm so sick of continually falling because they had the back-to-back. I tried to make some moves there just to finish off my week, and they blew up in my face today, which sucked. But yeah, he might. I mean, if you really like to grab life by the balls, you might want to pick him up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do look like some of the guys that are being added at the moment is somebody like Adem Bona. And look, while he hasn't always scored points, he did score 13 in his last game. And the opportunity might be there if Drummond is still out. I know that he's questionable. So he's another one that maybe you could look. And Moses Moody is one that's always good for rolling the dice.
Yeah, good calls.
Mate, let's head into the next category. Let's just go with assists. Vince Williams, he the best one?
Yeah, Vince Williams. Is Lonzo going to play tomorrow? Is he going to sit? He's always good. He's ruled out for Sunday, so do not pick up Lonzo Ball. Yeah, maybe Conley. He kind of nearly won the game for them today, but he's probably another guy that you can think of picking up. With Trey still out, Keaton Wallace isn't too bad. He might get you 3 or 4. I mean, it's slim pickings on the wire because it's slim pickings in people's teams. Like assists are just so difficult to get at the moment. But I mean, I think that was probably, if you could pick up Vince Williams Jr., even the other day, he kind of slumped back off and still got 6 as opposed to his double digits from the 2 games before. But yeah, there's no one really else. Maybe KCP, he can do that. He can't really do a lot, but he's been putting out more assists than he basically has at any other point in his career, only because they don't have a point guard and he's had to do something in his guard's body. So, yeah.
No, good one, mate. Sorry, I am solo parenting and giving my kids some dinner. So if you're through assists, what would you like to go? Would you like to hit rebounds and mention to me again Adem Bona?
Yeah, Adem Bona's there. You're right. We don't know if Andre Drummond's going to play, but if he does play, he'd be the pick over Bona, because Bona's just more of a blocks guy, where Andre Drummond can get 10, in 15 minutes. Mitchell Robinson, he'll get a crack tomorrow. That's basically the only thing he does. He's just a streamer for rebounds. Precious Adua, which is disgusting, just because they don't really have another option at the moment without Sabonis. Domi Barlow could be another one too, just depending on how things shake out with no Embiid. And he's getting some trot, and he gets kind of with Trent and Watford out. He's been able to step into the starting lineup, so he might be another one. It might be difficult playing against the big bodies in Atlanta, but maybe Dom Barlow's another one to think about.
Sorry, I'm back, and I do have an extra one. Jacoby Walter. He got 7 rebounds in his last one from the guard position. Looks like he'll be starting again with RJ Barrett ruled out again in Toronto. He's one that maybe you could pick up. They're a really weird team, whereas, Scotty Barnes plays a lot of point guard, gets a lot of rebounds himself. Jakob Poeltl probably doesn't get a lot of rebounds for the amount of minutes that he plays. They get a fair few rebounds at guard spots. Jacoby Walter is one that maybe you could look at.
And they may sit Poeltl tomorrow on the second half of the back-to-back after he played today. So Colin Murray-Boyles is another one, the smallest centre or power forward in the league. But he gets in there and he gets amongst it, so he could be another one worth picking up.
I'm presuming you mentioned Drummond. If he plays, he's been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, talked about Drummo.
No. Let's head into... Sorry, mate. I'm now eating Spider-Man biscuits because my kid said he was hungry.
Keep your strength up.
He said he was hungry and then didn't want the Spider-Man biscuits. So hence Dad's eating the Spider-Man. They're actually delicious, can I mention? Let's stop because, as we said, it was Ask Your Questions Day. I would... the better stream and stash between J Huff and Adem Bona. Adem Bona is the third string center at the moment. And there's a world. I don't even know if there's a world where J Huff's probably the best center in their team. There's a world where he is, or there's a pathway for him to be the number one guy. It's J Huff at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely Huff. And, now he's had, 3 starts in a row and played well in them. So everything's looking up for him. So, Huff all the way. That one's a bit of a no-brainer for me.
Isaiah Jackson hasn't looked well or grabbed it by the balls. They kind of gave him the first opportunity to grab it. And he didn't grab it, but J Huff is grabbing it by the balls. He's got that dog in him. Have you seen his compilation of when he gets a block and he's just fuck out of here? Fuck off. It's fucking awesome. Love that guy.
Hey, he's got to try and hold his own out there. He looks like my brother, I reckon. Look at his mug.
I can see him looking a bit like young Cameron.
Huff all the way.
Let's hit the percentages. Field goal percentage, guys. Who have you got to help hold it but still get you some of those other stats while they're out there?
The first one that came to me was Rob Williams. He doesn't score a lot, but he's basically taking under 4 shots a game. But he hits them. Basically, his job is to just watch them come over the rim and just flush them home. So if you're sitting on the precipice of a field goal percentage and you need to ensure a win, he'd be a good one to go. Jackson Hayes, obviously now he only had his one opportunity one day to basically be the starting center, but he's another one whose percentages are higher because he's basically the Los Angeles version of Robert Williams, where he just flushes them home. Rob Williams, we've already said his name before, but he's on there.
I've got Dom Barlow.
Dom Barlow's a good pickup.
Yeah, shoots in above 50% in basically all of his games. He's had one game in his last 7 below 50%. Doesn't shoot the ball a lot, but 10 and 10 last game, 11 and 6. Basically gets 1 or 2 blocks every game. Averages 1.1. Just a guy that I can see added and still playing the minutes without ruining it. So when you're trying to get those rebounds, but you've really got to hold that field goal percentage, you can be pretty confident in the fact that he's just not going to roll out, play an extra 15 minutes than he usually plays, and it ruins your percentage. He's not high in percentage because of a extremely low volume. Shoots 8 shots a game. So
Yeah, the only other one, and this is a real stretch, depending how deep your league is. But Clint Capella, he played like 20 minutes the other day without Adams. The thing is, they're playing against Utah, so maybe they don't really need that size. But yeah, we'll see if you're in desperation places, maybe Clint Capella.
Mate, your free throw percentage, guys, you guys that, well, let's mention guys that actually get to the line, because having a high free throw percentage when you don't get to the line sort of is counterintuitive. Who have you got there?
Walter Clayton, but I just don't think he's going to get the run tomorrow. So he's a guy who's been shooting really quite well. I'm trying to find some names. One that's always feels disgusting to pick up is Lou Dort. He's a 900 shooter. He gets to the line 1.5 times a game. They're playing against Portland, so we're sure to get fouled and probably end up there. KCP, we've already mentioned him. He's a fantastic shooter, but just again on low volume. Someone who has more
Julian
volume.
Champagny got to the line 10 times last game, shooting 100% from the field. Not an extremely high volume usually, but played in those 36 minutes, which looks like he'll play 30 plus, like he has in his last 4 with Wembanyama out. Somebody that can really boost those numbers, and he's like the 100th ranked player, and he's available in 3 of my 4 Yahoo leagues at the moment. So he's one that's only 12% rostered.
Yep. Yeah. No, nice pickup. With Marcus Smart potentially sitting as well. Gabe Vincent's another one. They'll handle New Orleans pretty quickly, I'd say, and Gabe will be able to play for basically the entire fourth quarter. So he's a guy who might end up at the line only just because of the competition. New Orleans on a back-to-back, they're going to get absolutely punished by Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, yeah, they 100% are. 3-pointers, mate. I know I'm chasing 3-pointers in some leagues, so I would love to hear your thoughts here. And I've got Jalen Tyson penciled in, but who have you got?
Well, Sam Hauser. Again, it's such a lottery to determine who's going to get the run. But if he can come out and shoot, they'll keep him out there. He gets 2 a game. Jalen Tyson, another guy we've talked about before. He's a guy whose field goal percentage is really strong. So if you're trying to balance your field goal percentage and your 3-point made, he might be a guy who's actually pretty handy. Lou Dort, the only shots he takes are one from outside the arc, and he might get some run. Luke Kennard's another guy. He'll get 2 a game. There's probably no one that's with opportunity that I could see on my little list here that's probably a chance. Aaron Holiday would have been the guy again. He shoots extremely well from 3, even though he's like 4 foot nothing. But yeah, he's a bit of a delight out there, but I'd be cautious about the fact that he's probably not going to get to see a lot of court time in tomorrow's game. So yeah, let's go Dort. Let's go maybe Conley as well. He was 100% from his 3s today. I think he only took 3.
Is he playing tomorrow? Yes, he is playing tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing him back-to-back, aren't they? I mean, he's on such limited minutes that, that he'll probably get some run. But
I've got the young Jacoby Walter again, mentioning him. He's in our thumbnail at the moment, but like in his last couple games, he's had a 3-3 game and a 4-3 game. There is a chance that he comes out and bombs a couple. Played 27 minutes today. That was an overtime win, but 32 minutes the game before, 24 the game before. So I do think that he'll get the opportunity and the minutes out there. And look, he's only 3% rostered. So if you need those 3s, he's probably the guy that I'm going to target, maybe over Jalen Tyson, to be honest.
Can I suggest too? I think we're up to basically the last category, that Joe Ingles is probably a good stream for turnovers to try and win your week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
big Ingles guy.
Actually, that could be a risky call because they They called him in. It must have been 3 games ago. I think it was the last play. Hadn't set foot on the court, and all he had to do was inbound the ball. It was a close game too, so they must have just thought he was the man for the job. And he nearly
He
threw it
always gets
away.
that inbounding assignment.
But literally for the last play on a hot game, and he and he nearly. I don't even think he touched foot on the court. Yeah, it must have been against Phoenix because I could see here that he's like reached a stat line, but he didn't get a minute played. So he nearly ended with only 1 turnover. So me laughingly saying that he's a good turnover option is could actually ruin your week if he got one.
We've just got steals and blocks left, mate. Your steals streamers for this week?
2 stand out. Well, probably 3. Jalen Tyson, because he's still getting run at the moment. He's probably got another week of value. Alex Caruso, that's essentially what he's out there for. And if Marcus Smart plays, he's questionable at the moment. Oh, no, he's down as doubtful now. They've downgraded him. He's back screwed. So, let's go. Alex Caruso, let's go Jalen Tyson. And if you really want to get spicy, even though his minutes have pretty much dwindled to nothing, Josh Okogie.
Nah, I am. I'm with you there. He played some meaningful minutes the other day. The only one I'd probably add is Jalen Wells. I'm basically adding him for points, but it does average a steal a game. So, 3 in the last 3 games, but a 0.7 before that. So, look, he's in a bit of form when it comes to steals. I've gotten out of position blocks guy.
Who you got?
Julian Champagne again, because he has 2 blocks in 2 of his in these 2 last games. So it's just to give you that flexibility, especially in 1 center leagues.
Nice.
I actually don't hate it. I actually don't hate him as an added as all. While we've been doing this podcast, I've added him in 2 leagues. So.
Nice. I mean, the big 4 for me are the names that we've already said before. Robert Williams, he gets blocks. Don Barlow, he'll get blocks and he's got opportunity. Mitchell Robinson, he gets blocks and rebounds, and that's absolutely it. And Andre Drummond as well might be able to get you a couple.
Mate, look, I would love to say that we're finished. Oh, actually, I wouldn't. I really enjoy doing this. But keep those questions coming in because we do have a question in the chat, and you are the guy to answer this. Jay Sizzle is asking, Jaden Ivey or Kevin Porter Jr. in a points league for the rest of the season?
Well, Jaden Ivey's the better pick in a points league over Kevin Porter, but is Jay Sizzle your burner account? Because this seems awfully timely for the last question of the show. You've accidentally opened Pandora's box here, Jay Sizzle, with your very benign question. Look, I haven't been impressed with what Jaden Ivey's doing. I think the fact that he's come back from injury and Kevin Porter Jr.'s come back from injury, different injuries, but Kevin Porter's gone straight out today and played 26 minutes and been a dominant force and already looking harmful to Ryan Rollins, where Jaden Ivey's played 5 games now and he's done absolutely diddly squat. I know that they probably won't keep his minutes down at 14, but they're just not going anywhere. Like he was like 14, 10, 9, 14. You know, he's just been like up and down, but he hasn't even got close to 20 minutes yet. And they're getting played so deep in Detroit. I mean, they're still playing Denise. So, you know, if he's still getting like 7 minutes a game, that is kind of worrying for Jaden. Are you going to tell me that you would say the opposite?
No, I actually do think that Kevin Porter, like points leagues, just remember, like they accumulate on everything. And I think Kevin Porter Jr. is an ad actually in most leagues, especially having a look at what I saw today, you know, the accumulation of getting those assists, and quite often in different points leagues, like an assist is worth 1.5 points and everything like that. Rolls through 25 minutes, 13, 4 and 6, a steal and a block. You're not getting those negative stats with turnovers from what we've seen from his first game of the year. I do think Jaden Ivey's I'll wait and see, and somebody that I have treated as a little bit of a stash. I actually traded off Cade and got Jaden Ivey. I do think, obviously not in a 1-for-1. I was getting Josh Giddey and some other assets back. But the thing was to add that little bit of depth. I was hoping, and that was after one game, I was hoping Jaden Ivey would, ramp up a bit quicker than he does. I do think there's a world where Jaden Ivey is better, and he's probably statistically, generally, classically better than Kevin Porter Jr. in a points league. But right now, if it's a streaming spot, you did say rest of the season, but I still think Kevin Porter Jr. rolled through and then just started game one. And Jaden Ivey's obviously having some issues coming back from this injury that Kevin Porter Jr. isn't experiencing with his injury. I am leaning towards Kevin Porter Jr., even though I baited you a lot with that question.
Yeah. That's all right. We like them spicy.
Mate, a 45-minute show, adding the questions actually added some great spice. And, I hope a lot of listeners that are listening to it afterwards have the same questions, and we have answered some of your questions along the way. Remember, we do have that promotion. Come in. All our articles are free this week in Patreon. Quite often we do have free articles in our Patreon anyway, so free members, completely fun to join. We probably give away one in every 4 of our articles as a free one. Get your weekly waiver wire one, Malley. You get all our NBA Supercoach questions answered along the way, another format that we play. And we do have some other sports in there, so maybe have a bit of a peruse of those articles and have a look what you can get for less than $10 a month. But that is us out today, mate. It's been good to do another show, and I'm glad to get you off packing boxes for a little bit.
Yeah, mate. I was going to say straight back into it, but it's 4 minutes to go on the Dallas and Clippers game, and they're tied up. I just want to watch this because if Clippers lose, I'm assuming this will be the last time I get to see James Harden play there before he gets traded. So I'll probably go watch that.
Sounds good. You enjoy your last 4 minutes, mate. And you've listened to a Ball Logic podcast. Cheerio.